way up. So you want to really engage the glutes and then control that back down to the floor. All right, so you're staying in that posterior tilt, making sure those glutes engage. You will get a little bit of hamstring as well. And particularly if your glutes are weak at the start, you might not get as much activation straight away. It might take a little bit more to kick in, but that's just a sign that, yeah, you need to do this exercise more to get that activation up. Hi, Jason and Aaron here. Today we're going to give you 7 exercises to strengthen your glute that's going to help with your lower back pain. All right, so we're going to start Aaron down on the mat. We're just going to go through some simple pelvic thrusts. So this is a great exercise to get some activation in the glute. It's quite a beginner level exercise, so it's easy to do at home. So yeah, if you've got one of these bands, chuck that around your knees, preferably over the knee there. And then we want to make sure that our feet are facing directly forward, hip width apart. And then first thing, Aaron's using his glutes, he's going to tuck his pelvis down like that. So you want to make sure that the back is flat on the floor. So if you come around here, Larry, see how Aaron's arched in that anterior tilt? Using his glute, tuck the bum under. So those glutes are already engaged. If you're not sure, put your hands on your bum and actually feel that you can feel they're tensing, all right? From here, he's going to push through his heels, squeezing up just into hip extension there. We don't have to go up into any excess lumbar extension there, so you just want to come up so the hips are on, and then he's going to slowly go back down, staying in that posterior tilt, keeping those glutes engaged, and then he's going to come back up. So we're going to go up and down for 20 reps. So you can go a bit slower on the way down, a bit quicker on the way up. So you want to really engage the glutes and then control that back down to the floor. All right, so you're staying in that posterior tilt, making sure those glutes engage. You will get a little bit of hamstring as well. And particularly if your glutes are weak at the start, you might not get as much activation straight away. It might take a little bit more to kick in, but that's just a sign that, yeah, you need to do this exercise more to get that activation up. To build some stability around that lower back and let those lower back muscles quieten down and not have to overwork. Because typically, yeah, you're lacking that strength in the glute to extend the hip, so the lower back starts to overwork and starts to try and tilt the pelvis to create that movement. How are we feeling there, Aaron? You're getting some
really
good glute burn?
Getting some good activation, and it's great too because like the quads inhibit glute function. So right now, when my glutes are firing up, I'm getting a nice stretch there. So not only are you getting a strengthening effect here, you're also getting a stretch and relaxing effect on the front side, which is commonly over tight.
Yeah, and just another cue, make sure you're pushing out against this band, not letting the knees fall in.
Yeah, I think for me with my clients, the mind-body connection is important here. A lot of people, when they start these thrusts, that they're using their back and they're not really thinking about it. But yeah, I think touching the glute, like Jason said, but just thinking about this is where you want the fatigue here, the lower glute, nothing in the lower back at all, okay? So all coming from here.
They're a powerhouse muscle. They're one of the strongest muscles in the body, but a lot of people are underactive because they're sitting down a long period of time, they switch off, they get weak. So yeah, because Aaron's got good activation in his glutes, this exercise does get you quite fatigued. So the next level up from that is we're going to do a single leg thrust. So we're just going to do 5 each side. So you straighten out one leg. An important thing here is to keep these legs in line. So as Aaron comes up, he's keeping these in level. So that means the pelvis is staying level and he's not tilting and rocking either side. All right, so this one can be quite challenging. So try and go really slow on the way back down so you're not letting the body flop back down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this one really burns. So we'll swap up and do the other side, Aaron.
I guess even like 5 reps for me, because I've got that connection there, and it's ingrained because I do training a lot, but I think that mind-body connection is important. Even though I can still feel the fatigue, I'm really trying to get as much output happening here as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what we need. Why we're giving you this video is because a lot of people overcompensate with their lower back, so all these lower back muscles are doing too much. So these exercises are going to get the glutes fired up instead.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
All right, now we're going to get Aaron standing up. So we're going to translate this more into a standing pattern and a split stance. So starting to relate to walking and running and just how we're moving throughout the day. So we've got this exercise is called a kickstand. So we're going to start off with no equipment, so just a static stance. So Aaron, if you can go into this exercise. So you're sort of hinging the hip backwards.
Yeah, so I guess it's just a way that we can get the glute on. In a standing position like Jay said, so it relates to walking, running and picking things up. So what I'm going to do here is get basically all my weight on my right foot and my left foot's just there, just for a bit of support and balance. But the left knee is going to be bent, so my knees are pretty much even here. Yep. And what I'm going to do is put my hand on my butt, keep my heel really heavy, so a lot of my weight is back on my heel and also through, I guess, the middle of my foot.
So here, between here and here is where all his weight is. Yeah?
Now what I'm going to do is think about stretching my back pocket. So really
So
pushing
he's really
the
pushing
tissue
his
out.
bum back into his hand here. So you want to feel like this is getting pushed back towards the back wall. So a good way to do this exercise, if there's a wall behind you, really think about pushing your ass back towards that wall, and you feel these glute fibers engage, but they're also lengthening as well.
So what I'm going to do here is, I'm hinging back into that hip, and I'm imagining I'm
Around
falling
from the side
forward.
here, Leo, we can see
So
where Aaron's leaning from over here. So coming back to the side there. So yeah, we're really pushing that back, and we're almost replicating how we would normally go down into a deadlift position, our starting stance there.
So I'm imagining I'm falling forward here, but I'm keeping my heel heavy. So my weight wants to go forward, but a lot of my pressure is pushing down through the middle of my foot and my heel. And right now I'm just getting a massive fatigue in my glute. This is really, really burning up here. So you might have to change your angles a little bit to try and find out where you feel it. But once you feel it, like right now mine's on like crazy, you're gonna grab a ball. So you can grab a soccer ball, a basketball, or a live ball.
Doesn't have to be too heavy either. So this is just 4 kilos for Aaron, but yeah, any sort of ball will be good, just to add a little bit of resistance.
And now what I'm going to do is just drop and catch 10 times. Drop, catch, drop, catch, drop, catch, drop, catch. Oh my God, I'm going to get to 10.
Keeping that glute engaged that whole time. It's supporting you here. It's doing all the work. The lower back staying nice and quiet.
Oh my God.
And there you go. You see, he gets quite fatigued. Again, this is the one where you might take a while to start to feel that if the glutes are weak. So yeah, just stick around with it. And as Aaron said, play around with that position where you do really find that glute engaged, and then hold that position. You might start to get some shakes. That's a good sign that that area is starting to get worked.
Yeah, so just try and look at the angles that I was in there and use a mirror to replicate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the common, I guess, mistakes are when the knee bends too much, there's too much weight on the forefoot and not on the heel. So yeah, just try and emulate that same position where you put your hand here, start to hinge back to stretch all this tissue at the back pocket there, get the feeling that you're gonna fall forward, but keep your heel really heavy.
Yeah,
okay?
so I shouldn't be able to lift Aaron's heel up with my fingers there. So if he doesn't have that engagement in the heel, yeah, you're not gonna get that activation.
So right now, the heel heavy is a really important cue because that will fire up these glutes, all right? So that's one you just got to really take a deep dive into and master, because once you feel it, you understand it.
Yeah.
You can't unfeel it, and then you know, okay? And right now, my glutes is on absolute fire, mainly because of that exercise, okay? Now when I'm walking around, like there's such an awareness of my glute that everything else just feels so good and movement feels really easy, okay? So really try and master that.
Yep, and then we're going to progress that on. So now we're going to move into a bit more of a movement-based from that exercise. So this is called a functional glute. So you're starting in a similar stance. Aaron's going to go into that single split stance hip hinge. So he's loading up this glute here. So again, whichever the front leg is, that one's going to be worked. This back leg can touch lightly just to give you a bit of balance, but you want most of that weight through this front glute.
So right now, again, already, this cable is pulling me forward as if I'm pulling forward, but I'm keeping my foot really grounded, and I can already feel this glute once again is on. And then what I'm going to do is just start to row my right arm in, and my right leg will raise up like this, and then I'm locking out here.
Coming into hip extension here, really activating that glute, stabilizing, and then once he feels stable, then he can start to move back through. So don't rush this exercise. A lot of people, they wobble and then they try and really move quickly. Just wait until you're balanced. It might take time to get balanced here if you are a bit weak in the glute. So once he's balanced, then start to move that transition back. And same thing, wait till you're balanced here. Don't do it if you're wobbling, and then back up. All right, so this is a challenging exercise. So it's one you've got to do slow, and just through repetition, you do build that glute strength, and you will improve your balance in this position as well.
Yeah, the cool thing is, like you said, the single leg nature of it, but also getting the spine and the rib cage rotating here too. So it's very good for our lower back.
If you come behind here, Leo, we can see Aaron's rotation through the rib cage there. So he's rotating, and then as he's reaching back out with this arm, he's rotating over that front leg. All right, so he's getting that connection from the shoulder into that glute. All right, so we're working those different slings within the body. All right, our next one, we're going to grab a bent. Oh no, we've got
little
front
platform
foot
here. So what you're going to do,
front foot elevated split squat.
You need some kind of platform. You can use weight plates or something, but just a way to get your front foot elevated. And yeah, you're going to set up in this kind of 90-90 position here where the front leg is 90 degrees and the back leg is 90 degrees. And then what we're going to do basically is just be working into kind of this split squat position here, all right? So once again, I'm focusing on my heel being really heavy, but I also have a little bit of a forward lean in my torso, AJ.
Yeah, so the forward lean allows us to load up more of this glute. If Aaron leans backwards, it starts to become a more quad dominant exercise. So just by maintaining that slight lean forward, you get that more glute activation, all right? And so it's slow and controlled, dropping this back knee down to the ground. It's just kissing the ground, so don't dump it down. So you want to control, touch, and then back up. And this front glute's getting a lot of work. You get a bit of stretch through that quad at the back there.
So you really feel pushing this heel into this here. I'm getting a lot of weight through there. I really feel this glute working super hard.
So this knee can come forward a little bit, but we don't want it going all the way forward over the toes there. It's just moving forward as the natural way with the body going there. So it's almost the same angle of the knee and that torso there when Aaron gets to the bottom. All right, and then you can swap it up and do both sides. Then we're going to go into some squats with a kettlebell. So just holding the kettlebell at your chest.
Bit of busy going on here, Jace.
There's a bit of traffic going on. We've got everyone watching. So peak hour here at Fantry Gully on a Friday.
Yeah.
So holding the kettlebell at your chest. We're going
nice
feet,
wide stance.
Yeah, just a bit wider than hip width there. Slight splay in the feet as well. So we're just opening up the hips a little bit to allow us to get that bit deeper down. And then coming around from the side might be the best angle to start with, Leo. Aaron slowly coming down, engaging, keeping his spine relatively straight here, but a slight lean forward, and then coming up. So the first thing to note is there's a little break at the hips going posteriorly before dropping down, all right? So that just ensures that we load this glute up first, where if Aaron drops down with the knees first, you're gonna load up more of your quads, all right? So that little shift backwards, just make sure that we load up the glutes rather than our quads, because this is the bigger muscle area in the hips rather than putting more strain through your knees, all right? And we're making sure that we're staying strong through his core as well. He's not flexing too much, but he's not overextending and compressing this lower back.
And the weight helps too. So if I did a body weight squat without weight here, it would be hard for me to maintain that neutral spine. So the weight obviously adds load to the movement, but it also helps me find these good optimal angles as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really good depth there. So depending on where you're at, you might not be able to get as deep as Aaron here, but just start off with slowly exploring. If you can just get below parallel there and then come back up and slowly start to explore that range and get deeper and deeper as you get more confident. The last exercise, we're going to start to get some lateral movement in here. So this is an exercise we call a skater. So it's really good for getting your glutes going, moving dynamically. So if we just watch Aaron here, so we're slowly pushing off side to side, absorbing through the glute and the hip, and then transitioning to the other side. And we're getting our arms in sync as well, as if we are walking and running pattern, where it's opposite and opposite as you're skating across.
So if you're just starting out to this, you can maybe just do these little tiny movements. Even that, I can feel my glute, the side of my glutes working really hard, and then we can progress all the way up to a proper skate.
Yeah.
But to be honest, just jumping from side to side, getting your landing mechanics right, and just getting you to use these hips again can do magic for your lower back.
So there you go. There's 7 exercises to strengthen your glutes that'll help with your lower back pain. So give them a go. Thanks, guys.
See ya.